Yeah, first off, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashim Shai, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and blessings to the Akim, the one third and the elect, who are teaching this word in sincerity and in truth. Now, last week I put up a video about Jeremiah 12 and 9, where I was trying to show you that Israelites are not all going to look like us, like black people or Hispanics or Native Americans. Some of them will look Chinese, some of them will look white, etc. And there's 4 parts, so you can go on this YouTube page, and it's the documentary. The actual videos is called Jeremiah 12 and 9. All right, so you can look that for yourself. Today, and I can't reiterate, so I can't even pronounce it. I can't really highlight how big this book is. Now, I did mention it before in the last videos, but I'm going to go into it specifically today. It's called the Negro Question. We all know that Negro was the name that the white man put on us once we were in slavery. The Negro Question Part 4, The Missing Link. And this is by a brother called Lee Cummins, who is a so-called African American, and the African Americans are from the tribe of Judah. And this book basically shows you that in the Middle Ages, which the white man calls the Dark Ages, and he just says Dark Ages to insult you, because it was not a dark age. A lot of the things we have today, like hot water plumbing, the cathedrals we have, Tower Bridge in England, Parliament was built when we were ruling Europe.
You may have heard of them, maybe you haven't, but the word Moor simply means black. It was a title that was given to them because of their dark skin. Many people believe that Moor also means Muslim, but the truth is there were many different types of Moors. There were Muslim Moors, there were Jewish Moors, Christian Moors, and some that practiced a Kemetic African faith. As a result of the Roman civilization collapsing, Europe fell into a dark age for 500 years. By 711 AD, the Moors made their way into Spain, crossing from Africa to the Iberian Peninsula. After the invasion in 711, more Moors arrived, soon dominating Europe. For 700 years, the Africans who dominated Spain and much of southwest Europe brought a level of civilization that had not been seen since the ancient Greeks, who were students of North Africans, ruled Europe. Irrigation systems constructed by Moorish engineers, they also created paved roads and public restrooms. Education thrived in Moorish Spain, including 17 universities, 800 schools, several colleges, and public libraries and bookstores containing 700,000 manuscripts. The Moors during this time were also heavy translators of ancient Kemetic texts and scientific texts. This was also especially important considering the fact that 99% of the population were illiterate, including the king, who could not read or write during this time. During the time of translating texts, the Moors had translated the works of the Greeks, not knowing that they were actually translating the works of their own ancestors that the Greeks had misunderstood. The Moors were also aware that the world was round and not flat. They took their knowledge of geography and created maps that showed all land and sea routes, their location in relation to the latitude and longitude. It is no surprise that when Christopher Columbus decided to explore the world, on his flag in the city of Cordova, the Moors constructed splendid palaces with manicured lawns, marble, carved walls with heavily decorated hallways, grand fountains, bright lamps, and 700 mosques, all while kings were unfortunately living in large barns with unfinished chimneys with no windows. The Moors also introduced proper hygiene, such as wearing undergarments and bathing with soap and water, which before this time was thought to be a sin and an unclean thing to do. Also in the city, there were 80,455 shops and 4,300 markets where you could purchase anything from spices, silks, glass, leather, pottery, and other goods. The Moors excelled in education, but they also enjoyed leisure activities such as horseback riding, marksmanship, chess, and they even enjoyed discussing war tactics and strategies. The Moors were also heavy listeners of music. They brought into Europe classical music, the piano, and other string instruments.
That was us. The whites just literally came in and we had wars with them. And once they won the wars, they took us down from Europe and they put us in boats and sailed us to the Caribbean and to America. Now this book goes into that quite a lot. All right, but it was prophecy, and let's start with that. It was prophecy that the white man would be what's the word? He would go down out of power for about 1,000 years, and we would be in power for that time. And that was the Middle Ages, when 193 AD, Septimius Severus, who was an Israelite who was in the Roman armies, he did a rebellion, and more or less Rome fell. The Roman Empire fell.
Near to the baths is a triumphal arch, dedicated to an emperor who came to power in 193 AD. His name was Septimus Severus. His period of office was a significant event in Roman history, though perhaps not for his achievements when in power. The importance of Septimius Severus lay in his background. Born in Leptis Magna, in present-day Libya, he was the first African to attain the highest position in the Roman Empire. The achievement of Septimius Severus should not be regarded as unusual. A feature of the Roman occupation was that it provided opportunities for native Africans to become as successful and wealthy as the Roman colonists. It caused the emperor embarrassment and had to be sent home to Africa. Despite this, Severus's political achievements were supreme, as were his tremendous building projects. Severus died in AD 211. After visiting the Roman province of Britannia and reinforcing its northern frontier, Hadrian's Wall, he died on the return journey in the city of York. His death, however, marked the start of a dynasty of African emperors. He was succeeded by his sons, Caracalla and Geta. Caracalla then murdered Geta and had all his inscriptions bearing his name across the empire erased. These emperors were succeeded by Macrinus and Elagabalus. The dynasty eventually came to an end in 235 AD with the death of Alexander Severus.
Gordian by name. And some scholars have tried to say, oh, maybe Gordian built it.
Combat between gladiators was an integral part of the show. Death would...
And we pushed white people to the Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, Russia. And not all of them, because the other whites that were in Europe, they were, like how we are now at the bottom and white people at the top. In the Middle Ages, it was the reversal. We were at the top and they were at the bottom. Now, because they've taken our history and because they know, I'm talking about the elites, the white elite, because the average white person doesn't even know that they're Edomite, all right? But I'm talking about the elites. Now, when someone conquers another race, especially in their own country, are they going to keep the artwork of those people, the paintings, the mosaics? No, they're not. They're going to destroy them, all right? Or what the white man does a lot is whitewashing, which is called iconoclasm. When you have black images of, artwork of icons like Yahushua and the disciples and people like Beethoven, Mozart, talented people. And back then, when we were ruling, all these people were painted as black. But then, when the whites took over, they more or less whitewashed all these images. Okay, and I give the good example is Iraq. When America went to Iraq, what was the first thing they did? They pulled down Saddam Hussein's statue.
This is the scene in central Baghdad.
Earlier today, we saw this crowd, this small crowd that has swelled to this now, taking off their shoes, throwing them at this statue, which is a deeply insulting Arab gesture.
It looks like it might be coming down.
Before they started taking it.
They could get the brass to bend, but not to break. Apparently, people throwing garbage at the statue. And Lara Logan is back online with us again right now. Lara, you're right there. Tell us what's going on.
Just in the last few moments, a U.S. Marine tank with a large chain has pulled the statue of Saddam Hussein down. This giant statue crumbled at the knees and toppled over. It's still hanging from the pedestal, but as it collapsed, a great roar came up from the cloud. There it goes. It has fallen down to the ground. It has come apart. The crowd is going mad, rushing towards it. They've been pelting it with stones. The Marines are trying to hold them back a little bit, but generally letting them run through and express their emotions. People are jumping up and down on top of the statue on the ground, their arms raised in the air. It is an incredibly symbolic moment for the people of Iraq. Saddam Hussein's regime has been held in place by symbols like this across the city.
And that's what happened to us in Europe. We were ruling it from 193 AD up into the 1400s. And then because it was prophecy, we started to go into slavery in ships. So this book goes into how a lot of our people went into slavery in ships, and they were from Europe. All right? But let's look at the prophecy anyway. Let's go to Revelations, chapter 20, verse 1. Okay? Let me start 1 here. And I saw an angel, I'll just read it for you anyway, it's a bit blurry. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having a key to the bottomless pit. The bottomless pit is Europe. The reason why it's called the bottomless pit, because it has no resources. You've only got a little bit of gas in Russia, and that's it. It hasn't got natural resources like the Middle East or Africa. All right? So, having a key to the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. Right? And he laid hold, Salakia, and he laid hold of the dragon, that old serpent, sorry, it's a bit blurry, but I'll just read it to you. That old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Who's the devil? So-called white man. The word devil means deceiver. That's all it means. All right? It's from a word, I think it's a Greek word, diablos, which means deceiver. That's it. That's all it means.